We're back breaking down quarterback accuracy, this time based off of separation. How open was the receiver? We'll get into the importance of that in a minute, but let's go back and discuss the process here. It's my favorite thing that we do here at PFF. If you want the full breakdown for all of this stuff, it's in our QB annual, all a part of your PFF Edge or Elite package. Here's why it's my favorite thing. It's because we're adding context to every single throw in the NFL. Was it thrown perfectly accurate, in stride on the receiver? Was it put on his frame? Both of those count as accurate passes. But we also say, was it a little bit too high? This high should be a little bit higher. A pass that's catchable, but higher than ideal. Front, still catchable, but a little bit too far. Low is another catchable pass, and back. So we've got these three, what we call catchable, but inaccurate breakdowns here. And then your uncatchable passes, overthrow, in front, underthrow, and behind. So every single pass in the NFL, if we can see the accuracy clearly, it'll get one of these designations. The one that's missing here, it's called away from coverage, and that's essentially if you throw it back on purpose and away from the leverage of the defender, we'll call that away from coverage, and we'll give you credit for that as the NFL quarterback. So that's the other way of throwing an accurate pass. So now that we know the context behind it, let's get into the most accurate quarterbacks when throwing open throws. Now, open, by this definition, is at least 2 steps of separation. This includes underneath stuff, your shallow drags, your screen passes, everything gets rolled in to these open targets. And we'll talk about a step of separation in a minute, but essentially those 2 buckets are the most important ones, the ones where the best quarterbacks generally succeed and where they stay most consistent year to year. We see Phillip Rivers had the highest accuracy percentage up at 78.7%. This doesn't factor in depth of target right now, so it's not saying, hey, he's throwing more difficult passes than the next guy. It's just highlighting overall accuracy, and we see a pretty close race here between Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and then Ryan Tannehill, who had a little bit of a smaller sample size, and he did have a lot of shorter passes and screens, but he was very accurate, at least putting the ball on the frame or in stride last year. So your best quarterbacks, for the most part, will be at the top of your open category, but also what we call step or closing. So this is when the receiver has a step of separation running away from the defender, or when the defender is within a step or so and closing in on the receiver. Drew Brees, number 1. We see Brees pretty much on all of these lists. Ryan Tannehill back here again, tied with Brees. Derek Carr shows up well again. He was actually on the higher end of accuracy in the NFL last year. Dak Prescott did a nice job here as well. This is what he did well coming out of Mississippi State. He just did not have a whole lot of open throws or receivers with a step of separation, and I think that's been the key to Dak's game. And Tom Brady, him and Brees essentially show up on all these lists every single year. So step and closing, these are the 2 most important ones. Going back to open and then with a step or closing, those are the most important ones, the ones that stay most stable year over year. And then this is the fun one, your tight window throws. These are the ones that get the most press. They're the best throws, the most fun throws to see, but it also fluctuates year to year. We've seen a guy like Derek Carr be at the top of the league one year and at the bottom the next year. Same thing with Carson Wentz. Bottom of the league as a rookie, top of the league his next year. So when you look at this list, don't say, hey, Patrick Mahomes will always lead this list. Say, hey, good job in 2018. However, it's really difficult to bank on these numbers staying the same next year. That's why Ryan Fitzpatrick being there with the incredible run that he had last year, it's going to be really tough for him to sustain it if he does get a shot playing with the Miami Dolphins. By the way, buy your Fitzmagic shirt if you are a Dolphins fan. So Patrick Mahomes, number 1 at 56.7%. Those are all those special throws. He did do a nice job throwing into tight windows, throwing away from coverage, putting the ball right where it needed to be. Fitzpatrick was great. Drew Brees, as we said, he was everywhere on this list, or on all these lists, and then Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield rounding it out. There's some consistency here. Baker Mayfield was also number 1 in the entire draft class throwing tight window throws. The big knock on him coming out of Oklahoma, he had all easy throws. Well, it didn't matter. When he had tight window throws at Oklahoma, he was good, and at the NFL level, we saw it was good. But like I said, this list will tend to fluctuate a little bit more year to year, whereas these previous ones, step, closing, and open, you might see a little bit more consistency at the top. So there you have it. It's your breakdown of the most accurate quarterbacks from 2018 based off of receiver separation. If you want the full breakdown, be sure to get your PFF Edge and Elite package.